The Goldfinch. Let me tell you, this book was a chore to read, okay? It's good. It's good, but at certain points, it becomes a hassle, it becomes boring, it becomes dull. At points, it is beautifully written. Sometimes these paragraphs, they just pop off. They just catch your attention, okay? But overall, to me at least, okay, some people regard this book as a masterpiece. And I disagree completely. It is not a masterpiece. It could have been a masterpiece, but in the end, each to his own, right? This book it's just not my cup of tea because of the characters and because of the actual story. Okay? Let me tell you. If a book by the halfway point doesn't deliver, meaning that it doesn't pop off in a certain way, that it keeps on going on the same level, to me that book is a bit of a failure. The author has failed if by the halfway point uh, uh, something does not happen. Okay, and when I reached the halfway point in the Goldfinch, okay, I was hoping to reach the end. I was hoping for this book to end. Okay, the last couple of 100 pages were a chore to read. To me, this is undeniable. Okay, and don't get me wrong, there are certain points here and there that they are just gold nuggets. Okay, they shine, they excel, they are extraordinary, but overall, the book just meanders at the same tempo, on the same line. Nothing really changes. There are no sudden movements. There are no surprises, okay? To me, this is the problem with the Goldfinch. It's a bit too comfortable in its own shoes. That's the problem with the Goldfinch. By the halfway point, okay, I was getting tired of this kid. I was getting tired of the dead mom. I was getting tired of the painting itself. Okay? Too much of the same thing might be bad for you. Okay? It all depends on the person. When it comes to me, I get it. The sad kid that loses his mom oh so suddenly because life is cruel. I get it. I was hooked. Let me tell you, the first couple of chapters, they were just flying by. They were immersive. They were captivating, of course, but after a while, hundreds and hundreds of pages, I was like, bro, enough with the dead mom already, right? Enough of this kid. I get it. It's a tragedy. It's just unfortunate, but it's like something needs to happen in this book, my guy, right? So by the halfway point, I was tired of all of this. And because I'm a writer myself, I automatically knew that the rest of the book would be the same. I knew this, okay? If you are a voracious reader, or if you engage in, creativity, if you create stories, you immediately can, have an idea of what the book is and what its general tone is. The rhythm of the book. It's so clear as day, right? And let me tell you, the best character in this book is, of course, the dead mom. She is just also, interesting, captivating, right? She seems like she's just a regular person, but she's nice to everybody. Uh, you know, Everybody likes her, the mom is the best character. And we learn more about her from her son as he remembers all of the little details about their lives right? But this is what I would have wanted, okay? This is what I would have wanted for Donna Tartt to do, because, the dead mom, she is presented as this angelic, uh, almost perfect creature. The mom is just so good. She's so kind. She is respectful and respectable. She has class, right? She has dignity. She is beloved by everybody. She helps everybody out. She is just perfection incarnate, right? And this is what I would have wanted for the author to do. How about, and this is, listen, I'm a writer myself. This is what I would have done by the end, after, overdosing the book with these details of this perfect mom. I would have liked to have this, what you might call it, this surprise at the end, or this turn of events, or this massive expose which revealed that actually the mom wasn't also perfect. I would have loved this, because it really defies all expectations, because we, as the readers reading this book, we just almost fall in love with this dead mom. She's cool, right? She's cool. She's a wonderful person. And I would have loved for Donna Tartt to, pull out some shenanigans. Think about this. It would have been exciting if Theo, now an adult, remembered certain things that put his mom in a bad light. Okay, because nobody's perfect. But throughout this book, we only get good memories, good details, good remembrances of the dead mom. There is really nothing to criticize her about. There's no critique. There's no reprimand. There's no nothing. She is just the best mom ever, and unfortunately she died. And I would have loved this at the end, for Theo to finally remember, oh shit, mom wasn't that perfect person that I imagined. I imagined her to be this perfect because for the first part, I was, a naive kid, and secondly, I was, heartbroken because of this tragedy that my mom was taken from me. I would have loved that, and this is what I would have done if I would have written the Goldfinch. At the end, I would have revealed something not so perfect about the mom. Every human creature is fallible. Every person has flaws and defects, and unfortunately, we don't really find anything negative about the dead mom. Right? Even at the end, when Theo is an adult, we don't really find, something negative about the mom. And this, this is actually the only real critique that I have with the Goldfinch, which is that, from a storytelling aspect, the narrative here, the story, the main gist is that some sort of terroristic attack happens at this art museum for some reason. Right? So this terroristic attack happens in this museum. A bomb goes off, or multiple bombs. Many people die, and one of the victims is Theo Decker's mom. And this is my critique. It's like this event, this terroristic event, this bomb, it's barely mentioned. The surface is barely scratched. It is barely touched upon. Okay? Now this is just me. Okay? This is just my preferences. Okay? I would have wanted to find out what the hell happened, and what the hell, propelled these terrorists to attack this art museum of all places, And this is what I want to say. This is the only critique that I have with Donna Tartt regarding this novel. What is this all about? It's never touched upon. It's barely, like, like, it's barely mentioned by Theo, this terroristic attack that took his mother from him when he was still a young child. And it's never really explained. We don't really get any details. There's nothing to go on, right? There's nothing to, small revelations, something, a sort of wild goose chase. There's nothing in regards to this attack at the museum. There's nothing. Just after it happens, Theo kind of mentions it, that it was indeed a terroristic attack, and that's it, folks. That's it. And to me, this is unacceptable. To me, listen, I know that this book isn't really about that attack or terrorism. It's more about art and loss, right? But still, you can't have such a pivotal a thing that drives the narrative and not explain anything, right? Like, there's nothing is explained, nothing is told, nothing is revealed, and even the bare details are omitted completely. And this, to me, is unacceptable. Okay, who were these terrorists? How did they get the bombs in there? Why did they decide to attack this museum, etc., etc.? I need details. I don't know about you. But you can't have something this major that affects our protagonist and not explain absolutely nothing. Okay, listen. If you haven't read this book, this is how it is said. There's an attack at the museum. It's terroristic. Some sort of bomb. That's it. That's it. Okay? That's absolutely it. And to me, this is unacceptable. We need some more details. Okay? What kind of terrorists are we talking about? Are they religious? Are they political? Are they a mix of both? It's not even hinted at that. Nothing. Okay? We don't know if it's from the Middle East. We don't know it's from Asia. We don't know if they are from Europe. We don't know nothing about nothing. We don't even know why these terrorists decided to attack the museum. Right? What pushed them? What forced them? What coerced them to, bomb an art museum and cause a lot of mayhem and, insert all of this tragedy in families that lost their loved ones in this attack? There is nothing. Listen, if it were me, I would have researched this attack from every angle, from absolutely every angle, especially if it affected me personally, right? If I were in Theo Decker's shoes, let me tell you, I would spend years of my life, every waking moment, researching this terroristic attack. And listen, another thing, maybe maybe it's overlooked or maybe it's a mistake, but in the book itself, Theo, time and time again, he goes online, he goes on the internet, he's on laptops, he's on computers, and he never says that he, even Googles this attack on the museum. He doesn't ever touch upon the subject of the event that took his mom from him. Listen, this to me is not realistic. Any real person would have checked the web for this event, and Theo doesn't do it, or we are not told that Theo does any of this research. To us, to the reader, it seems that Theo, of course, was horribly affected by this event, and that's it. It isn't really mentioned. It isn't mentioned again. Not really. We don't find out who these terrorists were and what motivated them to embark on this ugly attack. Right. Moving on. Um, listen, listen. There is a lot of talk about art in this book, and I love art. Of course, it's always subjective. It's all about perspective, the perspective of the individual and the perceptions of the individual. But listen, this is just me. Okay, this is just me. The Goldfinch, the actual painting by Fabricius. Okay, to me, it's not that special. Okay, uh, I mean, each to his own, right? But this painting doesn't seem, uh, it doesn't strike a chord. Okay, this painting that Theo is so gaga for, and his mom, his dead mom, she also was gaga for this painting of this little bird, and I'm like, bro, chill out, right? Right? To me, this painting is not impressive at all, right? I think, for example, Hieronymus Bosch, oh boy, that boy just wasn't right. Now, Hieronymus Bosch, now he has some paintings that are just absolutely out of this world bananas, and I like that. The madness, I like that. Uh, by comparison, the Goldfinch, of course, it's elegant, it's delicate, it's almost um it's almost minimalistic. Each to his own. I don't understand why. I mean, it's even mentioned in this book a couple of times that this Goldfinch painting by Fabricius, it's it's so one of a kind. It's so special, and art connoisseurs they just think that this is one of the greatest paintings of them all, and even art traders and art thieves and all of these people that are into the arts, they regard this painting of this little bird as something out of this world, but crazy good. And I'm like, not really, in my view. This painting is whatever. It's nice, okay. It's wonderful, but it doesn't strike me with anything, right? There is no listen. This painting leaves me indifferent, okay. And of course, you feel sad for the little bird that's, chained to this, whatever it is. Um, but simply put, I don't care about this painting. And I don't understand why all of these people in this book are so, like, obsessed with this Goldfinch. It's an alright painting, but it's nothing special to me. Okay? Uh, listen. To me, this book, this novel, it's not a masterpiece. I mean, there's even a quote by Stephen King here, which says that this book is a triumph. And I'm like, have we read the same novel? Like, a triumph of what? Like, listen, this book is above average, of course, beautifully written at times. But it's not a triumph of what? It's not a masterpiece. You know, like I said, the last couple of hundred pages, I was just begging for this book to end already. It's too much of the same drivel. Drivel. Alright? And listen, this is just my insight or what gut feeling, okay? There's something missing from this novel. Something quintessential. I don't know what it is, okay? I don't know what it is. Something quintessential is missing from the Goldfinch. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but that special, one-of-a-kind ingredient is not present in this novel, and because of that absence, because of that special ingredient isn't there, this book suffers time and time again. Okay? And maybe you know what it is. I don't know what it is. See, I'm a writer. I'm a creative. I write books, and I still can figure out what this book lacks for it to be a masterpiece. I don't know what it is, right? And of course, we follow Theo Decker, and this book is so much about loss. The sudden loss of a parent, and the sadness, and the isolation, and the detachment, and being disconnected from reality, and being being empty, being deadened, being numb. Sometimes Donna Tartt just writes about these topics so wonderfully. She expresses the despair of being so alone and just heartbroken and by this tragic catastrophe. Brilliant, but still hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I'm just like, as I'm reading this, I'm just like, come on, Donna Tartt, come on, something needs to happen. Something needs to change. Insert something different. Okay, I'm tired of this painting of this bird. Okay, we follow Theo Decker. He goes from place to place. He goes from people to people. Right, and it's all right for a couple hundred pages, but after that, I'm just like, come on, bro. Like, something else had to happen in this book for it to be, a masterpiece, right? Because what the effect of this narrative is, of this prose, is that you are captured by a certain rhythm, by a certain frequency, and you can't get out of it, right? It's I can't express exactly what it is, right? You're just stagnating, the same thing over and over and over again, right? And listen, it's not all bad, okay? This book is great. This book is great, but it could have been way better, okay? But I have to give credit to how do you pronounce it? The Berber family. Because this family, the Berbers, they took Andy in, they took care of him, they provided everything for this guy. They were kind of quirky, they were kind of odd, and at first you don't really like them. The Berber family is a bit off-putting at first because of all these characters, these bizarre characters. But nonetheless, later on, we find out that the Berber family had its fair share of problems. This was an extremely unhealthy and unhealthy family with its many problems. But even though the Berber family had so many problems of their own, they still took Theo in. They took care of him. They provided everything for this kid who just lost his mother. You can say whatever you want about the Berber family, but they came in clutch and they took care of this kid. And listen, they did not owe this kid anything. This kid was basically a childhood friend of their kid, Andy, right? But nonetheless, they took this kid in and they took care of him, right? And that is great, right? And listen, the fact of the matter is that this book, a good chunk of this book, it focuses around Theo Decker when he's still a young kid, in his teenage years, and this was my reaction when I was reading this. I was like, this is way too long. I can't wait for the time skip. I can't wait when Theo is all grown up so we can move on from this subject of the dead mom and worry about something else, right? But then, of course, finally the time skip happens. Too late, way too late. Okay, it should have happened sooner. But the time skip happens, and now we are dealing with Theo Decker, our protagonist, as an adult in his late 20s. And guess what? Nothing really out of the ordinary or different happens. It's more of the same. And let me tell you, I feel bad for this guy, right? Because because of this tragedy, because his mom was taken from him by violence, by evil people, this kid, of course, has been marked for life, and he spirals out of control. He steals, he drinks, he smokes, he does drugs, when he's like 13 years old or 14. And this carries on even when he's an adult. So even though he's an adult and he has a job, blah, 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 he looks like he's fitting into society, behind the mask, he is a lost individual. He is astray. He is aimless. Okay. Now that he's an adult, he has fully accepted the darkness of the world. And let me tell you, this was a nice surprise, because Donna Tartt does something with this protagonist. When he becomes an adult, as you read along, you discover something, if you pay attention, that our boy Theo Decker is the definition of a nihilist, a cynic, a pessimist, a realist, a nihilist, basically. He just sees nothing but the darkness, nothing but the, inescapable chaos and futility of the world, right? Right. You will not find a single paragraph where he says something positive or good about the world or about people. He has absolutely no hope whatsoever. He has been completely devastated and crippled by this premature loss of his mother. Right? He hasn't gotten over it, and he probably will never get over it. Right? And I guess it's a breath of fresh air in a way to have such a protagonist that he is truly numb and deadened on the inside. Of course, he is a functioning adult in society. He does all of the adult things in society, but deep down, he is hollow. He is a husk of a person. Okay? And I have here, maybe a page or two that I want to read to you, because it's just out of this world beautiful. The darkness of it, the futility of it, right? But of course, the last couple of 100 pages, we go on this chase, on this quest, because I don't want to go into it. I don't want to spoil it, but the painting gets stolen, and the Goldfinch painting, is tossed around all over the world, and people just keep taking it, and they go to, was it the Netherlands or Holland, Denmark? I don't know. They go somewhere, and they with Boris, and the plot is too over the top, but it's boring at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, by the end, after hundreds and hundreds of pages, I don't give a single shit about this painting, and it's so painful because the protagonist cares so much about it, and I do not share the sentiment. I'm like, please, can we just burn this thing, throw it in the trash, and move on? Fuck this painting. This painting is mid, boy. Okay? The painting is mid, and even at the end, there's some convoluted plot point that happens out of convenience, and the painting is finally returned to the museum, and Theo gets some money, and Boris, oh boy, and I'm just like, I was like, thank God this book is finally over. Okay, thank God. Okay. Again, it's not a bad book, but I think this is the problem. It keeps going and going and going, and I'm just like, bro, either do something or just end it, because it's the same thing over and over and over again. And let me tell you, I only had a smidgen of hope because, after the Berber family, Theo gets sort of adopted by this guy, Hobie, and this guy does, he deals with antiques and he teaches Theo all about furniture and art and antiques. And I was like, guess what? Theo is gonna learn this trade from Hobie, and he's gonna become one of those criminals that create fake, portraits and art pieces and sells them for a lot of money. I forgot what the actual title is. An art forger. So I was hype for a hot second because I thought that the plot would take off and Theo would become an art forger and he would scam a lot of rich people out of their money. And that didn't happen, of course. That did not happen. It was, it did not happen. Okay. And there's this thing in the novel that really bothered me, which is this character Pippa. Okay, this character Pippa. I understand why Theo feels this way about her. Both of them were in this museum. Both of them lost special people in their lives. And then somehow, because of the plot, they reunite, right? They sort of become a family in a way. And our boy, Theo Decker, has, he is, what's the term? He is basically simping for this girl, Pippa. And I understand why this is. We have all been there. It makes complete sense. But after hundreds of pages, I was shaking my head. I was like, boy, you need to move on with your life. Okay? I've been in his shoes. You've probably been in his shoes. You probably know what it's like to be a simp. Okay? This guy is smitten. He is stricken with puppy love for this Pippa. And this love isn't really, it isn't given back, right? It's one-sided. It's unrequited. And it's just sad. It's pathetic. It's painful to read how this guy, he can't sleep. He is suffering because of this girl that doesn't really care about him that much. If you really read the book attentively, this girl, this young woman doesn't care about this guy, doesn't see him as a romantic interest at all. And even though all of these signs are everywhere, this guy is still a simp in his adulthood. And it's just a sad thing. And I guess this is it. This is what I want to say, is that if you are a simp, you need to stop immediately. If you pursue somebody and if he or she never give the same sentiments or the same feelings, you need to stop immediately, boy, and you need to move on with your life, because let me tell you, it's not worth it, okay? Hundreds and hundreds of pages, this guy is he is in agony. He is in anguish because this girl never shows any real romantic affection or inclination towards him, and this guy can't sleep, he can't eat, he is obsessed, beyond obsession with this girl, and in the end, it doesn't really pay off in any way, shape, or form, right? And I think that's that's truly the most devastating thing when it comes to this book. At the end, this guy is still so obsessed. He does certain gestures for this Pippa, And Pippa still doesn't give a shit. And Pippa still moves on. She goes back home, and this guy is still devastated. And he's still a simp. It's so pathetic. And it hurts because I was there a long time ago. I was a simp. And it's not fun to look at this. To see somebody behave like this. Okay? It brings back horrendous memories. It's atrocious. Nobody should behave like this. Okay, listen. This is advice. If the person that you love doesn't have the decency to either show you the same feeling or just tell you outright, listen, I'm not interested in you in that way, brother. Okay? If that person doesn't do one of these two, then you need to move on, because that person doesn't deserve your love, okay? It's not a good thing to be a simp, okay? And Theo Decker, unfortunately, even in the end, by the end, he doesn't learn his lesson. And he's still an obsessed simp. And, it's tough. It's tough, right? I'm like he could do so much better. And, because of something like this, because of this crush, because of this obsession, life flows by, right? And you're stuck in this stagnation. And you know damn well, listen, in the back of your head, you know that your feelings will never be accepted, and the one you love will never see you as a partner. You know this, okay? And this is what I was telling Theo Decker while I was reading this book. I was like, Theo, my guy, okay, it's over, bro. You're a grown-ass man. Move on. Fuck Pippa, boy. Fuck Pippa. Get the fuck out of here, right? But it is what it is, okay? It's unfortunate. I wanted to love this book. I wanted to see what all the hubbub was all about because, of course, the Goldfinch has so much praise, and some of it is deserved. Okay, some of it is deserved, but it's too much meandering. It's too much beating around the bush. It's too much. Okay, it should have been shorter. It should have been to the point. Okay, but I want to end this review by reading a couple of lines because they really just they stood out and they grabbed me, and I was like, holy shit, this is some really spectacular writing from Donna Tartt. Okay, true futility. Somebody that has embraced, the chaotic darkness of the world, okay? Okay, so here we go. But depression wasn't the word. This was a plunge encompassing sorrow and revulsion far beyond the personal. A sick, drenching nausea at all humanity and human endeavor from the dawn of time. The writhing loathsomeness of the biological order. Old age, sickness, death. No escape for anyone. Even the beautiful ones were like soft fruit about to spoil. And yet somehow people still kept fucking and breeding and popping out new fodder for the grave, producing more and more new beings. To suffer like this was some kind of redemptive or good or even somehow morally admirable thing, dragging more innocent creatures into the lose-lose game, squirming babies and plotting, complacent, hormone-drugged moms. Oh, isn't he cute? Oh, kids shouting and skidding in the playground with no idea what future hells awaited them. Boring jobs and ruinous mortgages and bad marriages and hair loss and hip replacements and lonely cups of coffee in an empty house and colostomy bags at the hospital. Most people seemed satisfied with the thin decorative glaze and the artful stage lighting that sometimes made the bedrock atrocity of the human predicament look somewhat more mysterious or less abhorrent. People gambled and golfed and planted gardens and traded stocks and had sex and bought new cars and practiced yoga and worked and prayed and redecorated their homes and got worked up over the news and fussed over their children and gossiped about their neighbors and pored over restaurant reviews and founded charitable organizations and supported political candidates and attended the US Open and dined and traveled and distracted themselves with all kinds of gadgets and devices, flooding themselves incessantly with information and texts and communication and entertainment from every direction to try to make themselves forget it, where we were, what we were. But in a strong light, there was no good spin you could put on it. It was rotten top to bottom. Putting your time in at the office, dutifully spawning your 2.5, smiling politely at your retirement party, then chewing on your bedsheet and choking on your canned peaches at their nursing home. It was better never to have been born, never to have wanted anything, never to have hoped for anything. Damn! And all this mental thrashing and tossing was mixed up with recurring images or half dreams of Popchick lying weak and thin on one side with his ribs going up and down. I'd forgotten him somewhere, left him alone and forgotten to feed him. He was dying over and over. Even when he was in the room with me, head snaps where I started up guiltily. Where is Popchick? And this in turn was mixed up with head-snapping flashes of the bundled pillowcase. And on and on and on it goes, right? You get the idea. This book captures the devastation, the annihilation that a person goes through after suffering a loss like this. You know, the insanity, the madness, the mental health issues, the mania, the frenzy, the isolation, the loneliness, okay, the paranoia, and every other word, and every other symptom that you can imagine. Donna Tartt captures that frenzy, that feverish angst, wonderfully. Okay, this character, this person, Theo Decker, was absolutely destroyed by what happened to him. Okay, and probably nothing could put him back together as he was before this happened. Okay, and I forgot to mention, I was really happy when his dad finally croaked, because his dad was a piece of shit from the beginning to end, and it was such a relief when his dad finally died. Okay, and another thing that I forgot to mention, I was goddamn tired of Popchick, of this goddamn little dog. I don't understand why this dog was mentioned so often. I was tired of Popchick. Fuck Popchick. Okay, but that's about it. If you enjoy this content, if you want to support your boy, I got a few books on Amazon. The link will be down below. Thanks for watching. Keep on reading. Keep on reading good books, and see ya.